We went back to that depot, and I'm glad we did. Well, welcome back. It is so good to see you back here on Finding America. Now, before I get started, I'm just going to make a quick mention. In case you didn't know, we're starting to post regularly on the community tab. So if you go to the Finding America homepage and look down just below there, you'll see a tab that says community. And what we do there is we post short videos, photographs behind the scenes during the hunts, metal detecting tips, favorite finds. We're just having all kinds of fun with it. If I see something when I'm out traveling while I'm detecting, I'll maybe shoot a video of it and share it with you guys. So just something we're having fun with, and gives you a little something from Finding America in between each video. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys check it out, and I hope you like it. Now, this hunt, we had to go back to that train depot. And this time we brought along John. And when we brought along John, we brought along a pretty interesting story too. I didn't realize it, but when I was telling John about this spot, he said, man, you won't believe this, but my brother worked at that train depot as a telegraph operator. And I just thought that was amazing. Now, John's father also worked for the Southern Railways. He ran locomotives up and down the lines. So his family has a history rich in trains. So this was kind of a special hunt for John to go back out to the spot where his brother once worked. That day was seriously hot. It was just miserable. Humidity was so high. It was just like someone turned a faucet on. We just started pouring sweat immediately. So it's very tough conditions, and ended up being a bit of a short hunt. I'll tell you one thing, by the end of the day, it was a very sweet hunt. And my very first target was a 1241, and it was about 5 inches down, and popped it out pretty quickly, and I got an early valve stem cap, probably a Schrader. I think there's some writing on it, but I'll have to clean it up some more. But that's going to be from teens, 20s era, so that's a nice little piece. I was getting a 1216, a little higher than a nickel, but I decided to dig it anyway. Pretty glad I did. Wasn't very deep, a couple inches, but definitely has some age to it. There's a little two-piece button, nice little design on it. Someone's old coat button or something, but definitely has some age on it. It's a nice little piece. Well, John called me over, said he's got something interesting. What do you got?
First.
Oh wow. Something round.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some heft to it.
I wonder if
It's not a can lid, that's for sure.
bent like that originally.
Could be. See, you got an old brick down there too.
Yeah, make that what it says.
Wow. That's an old forged brick. Very cool. Well, we're going to brush up his find, and I'll be right back. We'll see what it is. Well, gave it a quick brush. Unfortunately, I don't see anything on this, but we're going to clean it up a little bit more. If there's anything on it, I will definitely let you know. It's definitely got some heft to it. That's a pretty cool find, John.
Figure out what it is.
Yeah. Well, got another pretty interesting target, and it's ringing up high-tone iron. So I went ahead and dug it, and thought I'd show it to you, sitting in the hole here. And old railroad spike, kind of fitting, huh? Wow, hand forged. Look at that bad boy. I like that. Well, I got more than one cool find out of this hole. And the funny thing is, this is where I dug the spike. I had to move over here because I was getting a slam in high tone. But before I found that high tone, I pulled out, I pulled this out. Now check that out. This is old brick. And just a little while ago, John had pulled out the other half of a brick. It's not the other half to mine, but now we can read it. So now it says Chilhowie block. And that's pretty old. And it was funny, we were just talking about Chilhowie Park over in Knoxville. He had found a little tiny railroad spike because they had like this tiny little tram that Victorians would sit on and then ride through the park. And he found a spike to that, and we were talking about that last spike. So that's pretty cool. This is some very old brick here, and probably turn of the century, right around there. So very cool. I'm happy with that. Now my high tone turned out to be something interesting too. I thought I had a bicycle bell, you know, it's kind of shaped like that, but it's brass. Got a knurled edge, got this edge here so you can tighten it, and it's threaded on the inside. Don't know what it is. I don't know if it's anything as glamorous as a locomotive part, but I don't know. If anyone has any ideas, let me know. So when John and I both found those portions of that forged brick, we saw Chilhowie and we immediately thought of a Chilhowie that's close by to us. There's a park, beautiful park, called Chilhowie Park in Knoxville. So our minds went to that. But I noticed the spelling was a little bit different. On the brick it was IE instead of EE that we're used to. So I went ahead and did a little bit of further research and searched for all kinds of Chilhowies and discovered that there was a Chilhowie, Virginia, located in southwestern Virginia. And it turns out that town was directly connected to the depot that we were hunting by, you guessed it, the rail line. And while researching Chilhowie, I also found out one of the things they're most famous for is probably something you probably have guessed by now, forging bricks. And another thing I was wondering was the origin of the word Chilhowie. And that's pretty interesting in itself too. It's an old Cherokee word actually, and it means Valley of Many Deer. John came over. He got a little something there. What do you got there, man?
It looks like a generic bale.
Little bale seal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely got some age to it. That's kind of different. It's got these lines in it.
Yeah, I've never seen one like that.
No, I haven't either. Same on both sides pretty much. But well, bale seals are always kind of cool to find.
Yeah.
Well, Chris is on the board with something very cool.
Only took 3 hours.
And we've been sitting around here for about 15 minutes trying to get up enough energy to film this. It is hot. But I'll tell you what, we got a ton of rain and it is digging like, you know, it's just beautiful digging. So, but this is really cool. We were looking for a baggage tag from the railway and we got one, but it's not the one we were expecting. Check it out. Chris dug this up.
It's a hand-stamped tag. It says Thomas something or other here.
Last name.
I don't know what that is.
Might be telephone. I don't know, but it has
TH5?
It has a 5-digit phone number.
Yeah.
Or 4.
PH.
And then it says Knoxville, Tennessee. And the cool thing is there's still leather under the rivets. So we've been kind of sitting here talking about it. We think it probably went on a suitcase or a doctor's bag or some type of satchel.
Maybe a dentist.
It could have been a traveling salesman that lost that metal. But we're a little far away from where I found the metal.
50 miles. That is cool though. It is hand stamped.
Yeah.
And that's neat.
It's awesome.
I like personal items like that.
Personal items are the best because now we get a little bit of history. And I'll get it back and get it cleaned up and I'll let you know. So I love that tag that Chris found. Finding the personal items is just very special when you're out metal detecting. So when I got home, I was able to clean that tag up enough to make out the name. It was Thomas D. Stipes. Now I called Chris that evening and I said, hey, here's the name. If you get a chance, go ahead and do some research on it. And it wasn't very long before he had sent me links, and he had actually found some information on the guy right off the bat. Well, Thomas, or Tom as his friends knew him by, was born in 1922. He married at an early age of 18 to his first wife, Cora, who was 16 at the time. And here's a picture of them together back in 1940. Now, shortly thereafter, Thomas went and served in World War II, and he served proudly and was honorably discharged. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot more information we could find out about him other than he passed away back in 1985. And pretty much all his immediate family have passed away since as well. I always love seeing the personal items come out of the ground when we're out metal detecting. I love learning the stories about the people. And honestly, it was a pleasure learning what we could of Tom Stipes. So John, just found a nice piece of big iron. What'd you get, man?
Identified as big iron.
Well, it's got a little mounting hole right there. It's kind of a leg, kind of like a dog leg, a bracket bolted to the floor or something. Something attached to it here, maybe. I don't know. But I was also hunting right here, and I dug up another piece of big iron. I think I have what's left of a railroad rail. Definitely old. It's amazing stuff out here. I like hunting these railroad depots, man. A lot of history. Well, just got another high tone iron signal. Dug down, got something cool again. Pretty sure I know what this is, but I believe this is the big iron pin that you joined the cars with. It would just go in the hole when you hooked up another car. Big, huge thing. Pretty cool. But I'm not a railroad expert, but I've seen these before. It's the first one I've ever found. And I just got the shock of my life by what I just pulled out of this hole. I had to call Chris over because I was kind of like really surprised by this. And there it is. I could just see this little part in the hole, and I pulled it out and I got this. I mean, it sure looks like a bayonet to me.
It sure does, man. And I think this looks bent.
Yeah.
Somebody bent it.
Yeah.
And then that would have been straightened out.
Yeah, this part here would have been, I don't know, it's oh boy. And it was about 4 inches down. It was giving me a high tone, but it was like an iron high tone. And I went ahead and dug it. Man, am I glad I did. I have never found one. That's just awesome. Wow.
I'm trying to electrolyze it.
I don't know. It's pretty far gone on the end, but yeah. Whew, that one had me shocked when I pulled it out of the ground.
I don't normally hear you calling from across the way like that.
All right. Well, we're going to keep going. Well, I tell you, that find was just so unexpected. You have no idea. For years, I've been trying to find a bayonet. And every time I thought I had one, you know, I dug a hole and I looked down there and I said, boy, that sure looks like a bayonet. And it never turned out to be. It was always a piece of pipe or a piece of iron strap. So this time, I'm not even thinking about bayonet. I'm not thinking about anything. I got a 1236. I dug down. I didn't really run the coil back over it. I just put my pinpoint in the hole and I got something in the hole, so I went and chased that. And that's when I saw a little bit of rusty iron. And I was able to just pry it out, and I pulled it out, and I couldn't believe what I had in my hands. It was absolutely amazing. Turns out the 1236 was in the plug, and it was a piece of can slaw. So you never know. That's why you got to dig it all. And I'm so glad I dug it all because I finally found my first Civil War bayonet. Now, I really want to say special thank you to Riley Bryant. Now, Riley knows his Civil War relics very well, and he was gracious enough to take the time to help me confirm that that was a Civil War bayonet. So I really appreciate that, Riley. Now, some of you may know Riley Bryant. He definitely knows his buttons, and he definitely knows his Civil War relics. And he has a YouTube channel called Civil War Unearthed. And if you haven't been there, do yourself a huge favor. Go check out his channel. And I don't even have to tell you to sub, because once you watch some of those videos, you'll be hitting that sub button. So I'll put a link to Civil War Unearthed, Riley Bryant's channel, down below at the top of the comments. Well, famous words. Chris called me over.
Yes.
His Equinox has struck again.
There is coins out here.
It's about time.
I got a Merc before a Weedy. It's a 44.
That's the only old coin we've gotten out here.
The only one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's how to work.
I think it's, there's no mint mark on her.
Philadelphia.
Yep.
All
nice.
right.
It was down there pretty good. A small coil, I guess because the soil was wet, hit it pretty nice. A little shaky.
Got a little bit of an angle.
Yeah.
There you go. We'll get her cleaned up and you can get a better look at it. Well, at that point in the day, we hunted a little bit longer, but we were just about ready to keel over. It was so miserable and hot, we called it a day. I tell you what, the hunt may have been short, but the finds were very sweet. And I really hope you enjoyed that video because we had a blast making it. So remember, history always makes a find a treasure, and I cannot wait to see you back here next week on Finding America.